Welcome to this week's episode of Midweek Drum Hang. I should have Mr. Jeremy Salken from Big Gigantic here any minute now. We'll see. Oh, there he is. Let's see if I can get him. And there we go.
Yeah.
There he is.
What up, dude?
How you doing?
Doing all right, man.
I
How you
like it.
doing?
Pretty good. I like your
Yeah.
setup there.
Thanks, dude. It's just in my living room. It's a nice little backdrop with the plants and stuff.
Yeah. Is this a new place?
It is kind of new. Yeah, in December. I got it in December,
Cool.
and I'm still getting settled in. So luckily, I have all this time to do that now. So that's cool.
Yeah, I would imagine getting settled in during a quarantine is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, the old pandemic settlement.
Yeah.
Is it's going good. I'm doing a lot of like house projects. I put up some like lights on my patio. I built a garden box. I planted some veggies for the first time.
Oh, you're a regular Bob Vila.
Dude, yep, getting after it, man. I like your backdrop there with the clouds in the
It's
window.
Philly.
It's beautiful. That's
Philly.
Philly? Nice.
Can't really tell from there.
What
You
part
like
of town are you in?
you cut around that way. I'm just north of Center City. I'm like I'm in what they would refer to as Old Kensington, but
Old Kensington. Nice.
Philly's weird like that. Like one person will say like, "You're not in Old Kensington. You're in Ludlow," and then you'll be like, "No, he's actually in this." Like, I don't think
Yeah,
I don't think anyone knows where they actually live in Philly.
nobody knows. They
Yeah,
like there's too many like sectioned off areas. They
yeah.
can't decide on it. Denver's
I,
kind of getting like that too.
I'm smack in the middle. If you go on like my roof, you can actually
Yeah.
see the Fillmore
Okay, cool.
and
Nice.
the Met. They're both
Okay.
they're both walking
Word.
distance. So I
How
got
far is it
that's
to downtown? Are you close to downtown-ish?
like Center City downtown.
I, maybe, sure.
Yeah, like where like City Hall and like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Liberty
That's
Bell.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, not too far. I actually I walked to, not that this would necessarily mean anything to you, but I walked to like Spring Garden and Broad Street the other day
Okay.
for a protest to defund
Nice.
police.
Yep.
Then that had me go down Broad to Center City or to City Hall, and then wrap around it down to Market to the Liberty Bell, and then back up. So I did
Nice.
like a 7 mile walk
March.
together
Yeah.
to this thing. So
That's cool, man. Yeah, I've done it the few times that I marched in Denver. It was a similar thing. We walked like all through the city
yeah,
and protested, and it was peaceful, which is great. I know Philly's been kind of like it seems like up and down a little bit.
the first week was it was
Yeah, it
pretty
was bad.
scary. Like
Yeah,
went from hearing lots of sirens to like, I mean, fireworks are legal. Like, I'm not gonna be
yeah,
surprised at all if in like a half an hour we just start seeing, like, I'm watching the fish stream yesterday,
nice.
and like
Yeah,
all of a sudden there's just like fireworks going on. It was like being at our own little mini fish festival.
yeah,
Um,
inside,
but when it all went down, like there were like pipe bombs going off
dude,
just people blowing up ATMs
crazy.
everywhere
Wow.
around the
I
city.
heard about the ATM. A friend of mine that lives there was telling me about ATMs getting blown up. Um, it's fucking nuts, dude. Yeah, Denver's been pretty mellow as far as that's concerned.
Yeah. Besides, was it Denver where that guy with the bow and arrow was at?
Um, I don't think so. I don't know. It's hard to keep up with all the shit that's going on.
Yeah.
Because it's like every day there's something new, or multiple times a day there's just new horrific stuff happening.
Yeah.
I don't know if I know. That sounds familiar, but I can't remember. It's like not Robin Hood. He's like an evil Robin Hood.
Yeah, he was like aiming it at protesters, but
Dude, that might have been Denver.
it sounds
Oh my
not like
God.
not like the Denver we know, but as far as like
No.
some backwoods Colorado stuff, that sounds
Yeah.
a little.
Sounds more like some southern shit. Like or southeast, maybe West Virginia, Virginia. Richmond, where I'm from, has been pretty rowdy too. They're, tearing down all the monuments, which is good.
Yeah.
Kind of, it's like I wish there was a way to get them down when they talked about it a few years ago,
Hmm.
and everyone came to the conclusion that these monuments shouldn't, these people shouldn't be like celebrated. We should take them down. But I'm glad that they're, now that awareness, I guess, is there, and they're taking them down. So
Yeah.
whether they like it or not, it's coming down.
I know. It's like I heard about the General Lee statue coming down,
Yep,
and
it's
I
a big
was
one.
speaking with Mike Healy from Papadocia last week, and that
Hmm.
photo of the Black Lives Matter projected is their
Yeah,
light gun.
yeah,
So,
yeah. That's it. That's it. Yeah, I grew up like that's on Monument Avenue. I grew up. I used to live over there when I was in college
mhm.
at VCU, and would ride my bike all around there. And you kind of don't think about those monuments like you're not even really you're kind of taught about them, but not really. Like people make such a big deal about, well, if you take it down, like no one's gonna know the history or whatever. It's like nobody knows the fucking history anyway. They just know they were Confederate like generals,
Yeah,
and they were okay with slavery. They wanted to keep it going. And it's just not, yeah, it's not fucking cool.
well, how was it growing up in Richmond? So you were there through college, and I guess at some point you moved
Part of
north.
college, yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up there in the suburbs of Richmond, and then went to VCU for 2 years, and didn't know what couldn't find like a direction there or a program that I really was interested in. So I took a sabbatical and went on like an adventure out to California and Colorado, and ended up moving here, or
Cool.
moving to Boulder. But yeah, growing up in Richmond, in the West End where I'm from, it's pretty normal suburban kind of thing. It's definitely more conservative. I had a good, like, solid group of Jewish friends, but there were still definitely some like sketchy, like, white kids that would like make fun of me for being Jewish or having a big nose or like whatever, and that was just like normal shit. Um,
I can't,
Unfortunately,
I can't imagine. I mean, I grew up in
yeah,
probably the most densely populated Jewish area in the United States. I mean, both New
yeah.
York, but also just like Long Island in general.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
great, man.
it's
So
kind
you're
of
like,
it is, although like it's funny when I first started touring, my dad was always like, "Don't tell anyone you're Jewish," and
right? Yeah,
is it really that big of a deal? Like, uh,
yeah, it was. Like within our generation, I was saying this to like my parents, it's only been within our generation that you could be like openly Jewish and have a Jewish last name and not fear that you would get hated on, fear that you wouldn't get a job, fear that whatever. That's only been since the 80s or 90s even, because you have people like Jon Stewart changing their name. That was like what you did
yeah,
to avoid sounding like you were a Jewish guy, and you wouldn't get hired. You would get discriminated against. It's like, it's pretty crazy that we just got there in the 80s.
where, yeah,
Like, and now I can have like Jew Unit as my Instagram handle and Twitter handle, and
that.
not be afraid that I'm gonna get like hated on. Although, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if like sometimes when I'm like saying shit on Twitter and like either responding to something stupid Trump said or whatever, I'm kind of like, man, what if I say something and then like some sort of anti-Semitic, whatever, like super right-wing dude decides to like jump on it and figure out who I am and figure out where I am and like shit like that. Because it's still like that shit is out there, and they're only like coming out more. It seems like they're not hiding anymore.
No, which I don't know if it's like a good thing or
Yeah.
it seems to me in some sense that like there's some positivity in the fact that at least like things are more out in the open. So like
Hmm.
maybe we're making progress in that way, but like it's also
Yeah.
it's not like this didn't exist for
Mm-mm.
ever long. It's just now
Yeah.
becoming I don't know, people are no longer hiding behind their ignorance and it's I
Yeah.
know
Which,
where they are, but like it's
yep.
also a little freaky because they don't really give a shit. They'll do whatever they want, you
Yeah.
know, not
Yeah.
logical thinking people.
Yeah. They're still saying whatever they want to say. And now it's like mixed in with these like conspiracy theory. I get people that'll like comment on something that I said or send me a DM about like some crazy conspiracy with like George Soros and George Floyd having a Freemason tattoo and how it's all a setup. Like there's some wild shit of this crazy rabbit hole that people like go down and they'll send me stuff. I've had multiple people be like, and this, and he's a Freemason, and Derek Chauvin isn't even a real like person. They didn't arrest the same guy, and this is all a setup to distract you from this like from Hillary Clinton and famous people having a pedophile ring or what like there it's wild. I mean, part of it I'm like, is part of that true? Is none of that true? I don't know what the fuck is going on. But they're like, these are facts. You're ignoring facts. I'm like, there's nothing about anything you
No,
said that is actually factual. You're making shit up. It's all conspiracy
yeah, I mean, if
theory. Yeah.
it's not that, it's 5G caused COVID or
Yes.
whatever
Yep.
9/11 isn't, which it only seems to come out on 9/11, the most inappropriate time to talk about.
To talk about that. Yeah. I mean, I was a big fan of that Zeitgeist movie. Like that definitely got me like, whoa, I wonder like
I didn't see it. I don't watch
it.
a lot of that stuff,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. And so maybe I'm just as guilty as these freaking people are, but it's I don't even know, man. I don't even know. Um, yeah, hopefully I don't know. It seems like there are some laws that are kind of changing. Like Colorado just got a bill passed that is putting some restrictions on like what police, what like moves they can do, chokeholds and things like
yeah,
that. There's more accountability. They can now, I think, get like sued and get, they're not like immune to anything. Um, so that's cool.
yeah.
And that happened within the last like week or so. The bill was like it was like councilmen like brought it in and then it went all the way up to like the governor and then um and yeah, so maybe, it's like you have these baby steps on local-ish levels that will
Well,
like,
with the escalation of everything that's going on right now, well,
hmm
I mean, part of me wants to say it's escalating, but also like this has been going on for a while and now it's just like more and more is becoming like more and more people are aware of it. So it becomes
yeah,
a topic, but it's not like cops started killing minorities or black people or whatever
yeah,
in the last however long.
yeah. It's not like it started with Trump or something like that. No, it's
Yeah,
been going on for since police started, I
yeah,
guess.
slave,
And
slavery.
it's,
Yeah,
yeah, the crazy shit is learning about all that through watching, movies and reading about stuff that I was totally unaware of.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, between watching, I know like 13 has been
yeah.
on, and you see more and more of like I had no idea who Jane Elliott was until a couple weeks ago when there was just some video that seemed kind of 80s 90ish of this
Hmm.
older white
I
woman
don't know.
talking.
Yeah,
She's the woman who
I
talks about
haven't seen that yet.
if you you know anyone in this room that would have no problem being treated how we treat black people in America, please stand up, and no one stands up.
Oh yeah,
Like you
yeah.
don't understand well, she did the blue eye brown eye experiment in the
Hmm.
60s. Like
Okay.
she was a teacher, or she refers more as an educator.
Hmm.
Um, but she was a teacher, and the day after Martin Luther King was assassinated, she like completely shifted her entire knowledge to this subject of where white supremacy and racism came from.
Yeah.
And she did an experiment with her, I want to say it was like fourth graders, but it was like elementary school students, and teaching them about discrimination based on the fact that one day was anyone in the class that had blue eyes was superior to the brown-eyed kids in the class. And the brown-eyed kids were not allowed to play on the swing set. They weren't allowed to drink from the water fountains. They weren't allowed to go for seconds for food. Like all of these things, and teaching ways, they would make fun of the other kids. And then it flipped the next day. Like the next day, students were more superior, and she learned and was teaching these kids the importance of not judging people based on the way they look, but also she learned just how quick you could teach a kid about being, you know, prejudiced and racist or whatever it might be, basing, you know, judgment on people's differences. And it's really interesting. I highly recommend watching that. But then she also, last year or 2 years ago, she did, she talked with Angela Davis at the University of Houston about racism. And it's pretty incredible stuff. And the more and more that you find out about, you know, the fact that we all come from, you know, black women 300 to 500,000 years ago. We evolve, or that the reason why our skin is white is because we moved further away from the equator and we ate different food and we produced less melanin. Otherwise, it's kind of funny. It's like, if anyone's the inferior race, it would be white people.
It's us,
evolved away from being black.
Right.
Or even talking with my dad about this, because in the beginning it was a lot of like, I don't want to pull the, you know, I have been harassed by cops. I have been harassed for being Jewish, but like now's not really the time to have any comparison and talk about it. And like, my dad, it's still like, you know, he was called a kike as a kid, to move schools and deal with all that stuff. Also being really like first generation kid. His parents were actually first generation, but growing up with family members that survived the Holocaust and having family members that were murdered in the Holocaust, and it being still fresh that we'd have these conversations. And he actually reminded me, or not remind me, but let me know, he's like, the reason why Jews evolved from being, you know, I guess the difference between like Sephardic or Ashkenazi would be like, and like brown or lighter skin would be that being raped from Europeans, similar to lighter skinned black people. That evolved in. It's a very similar way. It's just like that concept goes deeper than the 500 years since the Spanish Inquisition and modern racism and the adapting to slavery in the United States. That it's gone on for a long time, and hopefully like we're finally at a point where like it's gonna take time, but it seems like the majority have felt this way and are finally speaking up and are not tolerating it and realizing that like it's important for us as white people or anyone to educate themselves and to speak up. It's not just, you know, it's not our problem. It's everybody.
It's everybody. Right. It's a universal thing for sure. It's been going on for thousands and thousands of years.
And as drummers and like musicians, I feel like super important for us to say like, you know, I had a talk with a lot of the dream symbol artists the other day. We had like a round table, like 50 on a Zoom call, talking about what the company can do better about, you know, helping Black-owned businesses and getting more minorities on like the roster and like all these things. It was actually pretty incredible. We all like also realized that a lot of the companies, it seems some are, like I know Nike, Ben and Jerry's, like in that realm, but music-wise, at least from any of our other endorsements, we didn't know of anyone else doing this. So it was pretty interesting and awesome.
That's
But
cool.
um, but either way, it was kind of just an eye-opening experience to realize that there's a lot that we have to do. And I had mentioned, like, if it wasn't for African music and like drums as a language and for a
Especially, yeah.
communication, and immediately someone reminded me of popular music being influenced by all. I think there was a little misunderstanding of what I was saying. I wasn't just talking about popular music or music, but more
Yeah.
that like drums and where this comes from is the
Yeah.
first language and how people communicated with other tribes.
Yep. Oh,
And,
100%, man. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, that goes back as far as, people could like beat on anything,
Hmm.
any object and make sounds from it. It's pretty primal.
Yeah.
It's a pretty primal thing. Yeah, obviously pop music is it's constantly evolving, and there's so many different cultures that are represented in different types of pop music or electronic music. It's like a big hodgepodge of everything. Most of it's based on the clave,
Yeah.
like some sort of version of it. Like, and so yeah, it's yeah, that's just kind of what pop music is, I guess, or a lot of music. But yeah, we have to, the stuff that we've been studying forever is is 100% from, cultures outside of this country, especially like from Africa or from, South America or, all over.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
There's a lot. I mean, even Native American music, like the
Yeah.
Tom Dowd's brilliant idea for Cream to have for Sunshine of Your Love to have the
Mhm.
ding 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 ding, and having that like downbeat being the beat
Yeah. The beat. Yeah.
that that wouldn't have happened without that inspiration of how Native American tribes and their music, where that came from, and
Yeah.
playing a big role in that sense, especially for that song. So, I mean, there's a lot of people realizing that we need to realize that we're all just there's only one race that matters, and it's the human race.
There you go.
Right?
I like how you wrap all that up, man. We got heavy right off the
We got
bat.
hit right off the bat, and I'm
We
like,
just dug in.
I'm,
I like
I'm
it.
struggling with the idea of like, it's a drum talk, but then like, there's also
Yeah.
a lot more going on out there than just like us just talking about drums and not saying anything about it. So,
Yep.
but
We
so
could talk about our chairs. We both kind of have like a similar chair
similar
vibe going.
similar situation. I can't take any credit for this. My fiance needed
Nice.
needed a good work chair, so
Yeah.
it's pretty comfortable. I like it.
Yeah, that's key.
It's
It's
also
key.
hard to not like
Yeah, you got to do this
like
move.
feel like we're drummers have
Yep.
the rhythm going perfectly right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, you're always moving.
Yeah. So you grew up in Richmond. I know I've
Yep.
seen some photos of like earlier years, but like when did you get a drum kit? Because it seems like you've been playing since like two or something.
Yeah. Um kind of. My mom and my grandfather, I guess, was the first person to like get me some sort of like Muppet Babies drum set. But when I was like 2 or 3, I would literally take pots and pans and flip them over and just start banging on them with chopsticks. And
Hmm.
that was like my for some reason that was my go-to. And I don't really have like a musical family. Um, my cousin Monica is a great singer, has a beautiful voice. My grandmother was in like really into plays, and did performance like that, but it wasn't like we had like gigging family members
Yeah.
in bands, and it was like you're gonna be like your uncle, Jaime, whatever. And yeah, I just started like doing it and being like obsessed with drums and with playing. And there's some funny videos of me when I'm little, like bossing family members around. Um, Amazon's here.
Uh,
Um, they'll drop it off hopefully.
in a safe spot, you can leave things on your doorstep for a little
It's
bit.
safe. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it'll be fine for a while. Sometimes they like put it around the corner.
This ends in like It only goes for an hour before it ends anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm not too worried. I was leaving them out there for like a day or two because I didn't want to touch it.
yeah.
And I would like kick the box inside and then it would just sit at my front door for like 3 days. Um, but yeah, there's a funny video of me playing and I'm probably like 4 or 5 and my mom would put on like Hall and Oates or Bruce Springsteen or Steely Dan and I would just, try to do whatever I was doing along to it. But I had like a Muppet, like a Fraggle Rock guitar, a Muppet Babies drum set, all these like things. And I would have family members like my grandfather. I'd be like, what are you doing? What? Take this guitar and start playing. I would like recruit people to be in the band.
That's great.
Yeah, and that I did that for a long time until I was like 11 or 12 and realized that like I could like play it as an instrument. I don't know. It didn't click that it was even something that I could do. I even in middle school, I picked trumpet in 6th grade. I didn't even choose drums, which made no freaking sense. I was terrible at trumpet.
I had a flip flop. I picked trumpet,
Yeah.
but as my first choice, whenever you pick it, I guess it's like 3rd grade you pick, but you don't start till 4th. I think, if I remember.
Ours was 6th grade is when we did recorder like in elementary school.
I
Nothing
had
cool.
recorder, I remember that, and around that time
Yeah.
I picked an instrument to start the following year, and I picked trumpet,
Yeah.
but and drums was my second choice, but I didn't
Nice.
get it. But my dad, he's the only like, at least as far as parents or actually, I guess my grandfather was kind of musical, but like my
Hmm.
father played drums growing up, played guitar, and he knew that I was interested in drums and got me a drum set. And then I also got drums in school, so it kind of worked that
Nice.
way where I was just spending a lot of time playing drums. But
Yeah.
I wanted to play trumpet originally, and now like with lugging drums around, I kind of wish in a sense that
Right? Yeah, you could.
trumpet.
I played with Bloom the other day with Benny Bloom,
Yeah, I saw
magnificent
the
trumpet player. We played at a barber shop, and it's like classic trumpet player shit. Just show up like a minute before you're supposed to
yeah.
start. Although he showed up earlier, but when we were texting, it seemed like it was going to be one of those like he's going to slide in right in time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've never known what that's like as a drummer. Like you're there early. Like if you're schlepping your kid around, it's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure for years and years, Dom had the same thing
Oh yeah, dude,
until
he would walk
computer
across the street to a
technology
gig.
came in.
Yep. Yeah, Dom and I used to live across from Southern Sun in Boulder, and we would play gigs there and stuff like that, and he'd play with Dave Watts or with whoever, and just like we'd walk across the street, he would show up with his horn.
Yeah,
I'm like, God, you lucky bastard.
yeah. I
Yep.
mean, it's a lot to like. I mean, I definitely want to get back into like how you know, were growing up with the drums and eventually got to
Hmm.
Boulder. But it's funny thinking about how it was like not too long ago that my friend posted those photos that I shared today of like it was a decade ago that we did our
Yeah.
Sonic Swag and Big Gigantic did the show at Brooklyn Bowl, and like there were a couple other
Yep.
shows on that run as well.
Yeah, we played in Northampton.
And I remember our
I forget where
computer
else.
was broken. Like
Yeah.
it like something was happening and the computer would not work. And I know like Dom tried to fix it because like we
He
figured,
knew
oh, maybe
something.
he's got a little
Yeah.
bit more knowledge of Ableton and could fix it. No, couldn't fix it. And we had
Yeah.
to do, which was like, at the time for us, it was like our biggest show, like it was
Yeah.
sold out. You
Yeah.
guys were like at that point where like you were playing smaller venues and like blowing up and every
They're
show was,
packing out. It's
yeah.
crazy.
And we were like, we're about to play for 800 people and our computer doesn't work. And
God
we
damn.
improvised. We improvised for 45 minutes because we had no other option but to
Yeah.
just not play with the computer. And it was so heavily reliant on having like all the bass came from the computer and then all of
Yeah.
the other layers where it was just like, we can't do our material. So I guess we're going to improvise for 45 minutes. And I remember like some friend, I forget who it was, but like in the music industry, was like, that was the best set you guys ever played. And we're like,
Haha,
not even our music.
that's great. Yeah. Like we just made it up.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, there you go. Sometimes it's like that necessity breeds some new kind of thing,
Yeah,
new invention.
for sure.
Um, that's funny, man. Yeah, I remember doing those shows. We did like a handful of them.
Yeah,
We were in Northampton, Mass. I guess Brooklyn Bowl.
which I was trying to, I thought it was more than Northampton and Brooklyn Bowl, but
Yeah,
all
there
I
was
can
more.
remember, what was that?
I think there was more.
I thought so too, but that's all I can remember. I remember specifically Brooklyn Bowl for that reason, and there's photos of it. And I
Yeah,
remember Northampton because we were supposed to do Iron Music Hall, which is like a really small
yeah,
spot, and it's
yep,
sold out. So they're like, we're gonna
yeah.
do to Pearl Street, but it
Pearl
was the
Street,
small
where
room
it's
at Pearl Street.
upstairs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then it was like, well, that's sold out, so it moved to the big room at Pearl Street,
dude.
and it was just like one after another where
Yeah,
it was just
that was the best, man. That we were still in like a van, I think. I'm pretty sure.
yeah,
We had like a Sprinter.
I think it was just you two and Ben, and I guess you had a front of house, but like
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
Ben was out with us?
I don't know if he was
Yeah. That was
he was
probably in
definitely at one
Brooklyn.
of those, or he
Yeah,
was
probably New
definitely at
York.
the Northampton show in Brooklyn Bowl, so
Yeah. Did he come with us to Northampton?
I thought so.
Did we do like Hartford? Because we played Hartford at one point, Connecticut. But yeah,
Maybe.
that was a lot. That was like 2010,
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
something like that.
Yeah,
2000
it was 10 years. Yeah,
or 2011 maybe.
it was 2000, I think it was 2010, at least based on the
Hmm.
fact that my old photographer was like 10 years ago, and that's how those photos
Yeah. Yeah,
surfaced.
yeah.
So
Yep.
maybe it was different, but I don't know. It's kind of weird because thinking about the fact that like I made a complete shift in career
Hmm.
based on the fact that like my old band was breaking up. I actually got a phone call while I was at Rothbury, and I saw it was like the first time I saw you guys and
Hmm.
Pretty Lights, and you guys were like playing on like that small stage in the Sherwood Forest.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember thinking,
Crazy.
why why would I continue with this like rock band that was like a lot of my influences of like Foo Fighters, 311 Incubus, the 90s
Hmm.
grunge stuff at the time,
Yeah,
when
yeah.
I'm seeing all of these like jam bands and like electronic music was starting to like really come up in the
It was
scene.
happening.
It's
Yep.
like, why would I? And I remember seeing you guys like specifically and being like,
Yeah.
I feel like I should be doing this. Like I was so inspired by like
Ooh,
movement
excuse
that was
me.
happening with you guys and like the whole Colorado electronic jam
Yeah.
scene
Shit was
that I was like,
popping off, man.
I should be doing this. So it's weird to think if that was 2010 because that was only
Yep.
a little over a year later, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that we were doing stuff. It happens quick, man.
Yeah. And whoever,
Y-
yeah, Rothbury is definitely the best festival ever. Whoever,
Yeah, specifically Rothbury.
yeah,
Electric Forest is great too. Like I love it there, but
yeah,
Rothbury, second year,
yeah,
really the first and second years were like it was just epic, man. It was special.
totally.
Um, yep, miss those days.
It changed everything.
Festivals. What's a music festival like?
No,
That's not happening.
not this year.
Nope, we're just
My next
sitting in
year was
chairs.
pretty good. My dad's a pulmonologist, so he's like on the front line
Okay.
of this thing,
Yeah.
and he feels by like spring things
We'll be we'll be
should be
back in
fine. Like
action.
by summer definitely. I mean,
Are
we'll
they
see
doing
after this.
anything in Philly yet? Like shows? Have they announced like venues can have a
No.
like hell no. No, they did here.
Well, it seems you guys are a little more open than
That's what
Philly.
it seems like.
Philly is
Yeah.
it's not as open as like it's not like Florida, Georgia, or like anything like
No, yeah.
that.
Us either.
But it's pretty strict here. Like,
Hmm.
uh,
Bigger cities, I feel like.
yeah, they're
It's
trying to like, especially with what happened in New York, and we're not
hmm
that. I mean, we're only 90 miles away, so
yeah.
they were trying to put a lockdown on that big time. So I don't know. At least I haven't heard. I know a lot of the Philly guys that are like always playing here, and I don't think any of them are like, yeah, I'm playing at some small.
You
I
would
heard.
know.
I heard fall. I mean, you don't know. Like,
Yeah.
no one knows anything about this.
No. Well,
So
because
like,
it could, I feel like they're experimenting, in Florida, and now they're gonna like shut Florida back down or something
yeah.
because
Oh,
it's
definitely.
increasing. And in other states that's happening, and we're starting to loosen things up a little. Um, and they announced this week that you can do like 50-person shows at certain venues where you have to like put people at tables and mark them off and keep them kind of separated.
Everyone have
Um,
masks.
yeah, you have to wear a
Good.
mask.
Good.
Well,
That.
it's weird. So I've been out to a couple restaurants late in the last like week or so. I've had like two or three restaurant experiences, I guess, in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And that's been interesting. You have to wear a mask when you walk in, but then when you sit at your table, you can take it off.
Okay.
So, and all the like tables are separated like a lot.
Yeah.
Like there's 12 feet in between each table. It's not just like 6 feet.
Yeah.
Um, I'm about to go eat with Dom and Ben. I haven't seen Dom this whole time, but we're about to go get some sushi
You guys
at
sushi. I'm
at
jealous
this.
of like. I mean, I'm vegan, so I don't really eat much sushi these days.
Yeah,
I'm jealous
yeah.
of all your sushi parties having your
Suit, suit.
chef.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, this chef that'll come to your house and do it is like freaking. It's the most next level. If you're ever not vegan or something, if you ever come back to the dark side and you want the most epic meal ever, it's totally worth it. And, um,
I have
but
no doubt.
yeah, we're going. I'm going to a restaurant tonight. It's weird. It's still a weird experience. Um, I don't know if we should be doing it or not, but like, did you get sick at all? Do you have people close to you that got sick?
No, I haven't gotten sick. I know like one Philadelphia musician that
Hmm.
I didn't play with, but he like opened for a show that I did, like 3 weeks before all this went down. Like a week before I saw you when I was out there for the Ogden show.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Not really. I mean, one of my dad's partners at his medical practice
Hmm.
had got sick. I mean, which makes sense
Wow.
because
Yeah,
they're
because he's around.
respiratory
They're
doctors.
around.
Like that's
Yeah.
they're in it,
Yep.
but like that's the thing too. Like it could have been a faulty test. But, like he doesn't have any antibodies.
Oh, really? He got the antibody test and didn't have it.
Yeah. So like
Crazy.
I think things are just it's strange. I keep like it's hard to tell and you don't know. Like part of me hopes that like maybe I came in contact with it, but it didn't do anything to me because I know that that's
Hmm.
possible.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yep.
but it's so like it's just like alarming. It makes sense because it's so fresh that like these things
Yeah.
take time, but like it's just alarming that we don't know anything. So like how do you know if it's safe or not? I would imagine and to
It's
be
like trial by error, kind of trial by fire.
skeptical. And they say no matter what, like everyone's gonna have to come in contact with it and either get it or have their body fight it out. Like herd immunity is ultimately gonna be the final thing that we have to do, but like we have to do it in stages and maybe like hopefully by end of year we'll have at least like an antiviral that like
Hmm.
if you get
Some
it,
kind of vaccine.
you're good. Well, the vaccine
Yeah.
won't come in until
Next year,
here.
like summer next year or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I heard. But then I hear there's just so many different like things going around. Like they're gonna have it ready next week. You're like, what? You're fucking crazy. You're not
Well,
having shit ready.
they
Like,
could have one ready next week, but for better or worse, in because of the rules and the way things happen here, we need to go through like rigorous testing to make sure that like
hmm,
we're not going to cause some like I am legend shit where like you think you're curing cancer and then everyone it's like the zombie apocalypse, you know. I don't know,
yeah,
but
yeah. We don't. Wow. What if that's the next step? Holy shit, dude. I didn't even think about that. That literally, it feels like we're in a movie right now already. It feels like we're in a movie. So I wouldn't be surprised if they, yeah, like some drug that the president is pushing turns people into zombies all of a sudden. And then,
Oh, I always thought lab grown meat was going to be the reason.
yeah, that might be the safest meat at this point.
I still think that's the cause of the zombie apocalypse. If anything,
Yeah,
crave
yep.
flesh more than you
Real
ever
protein.
craved before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you need the real shit.
But I guess let's get back on track.
We got sidetracked a little bit.
So, so you're playing drums, you're doing this whole thing. We have this similarity. I know that you finally got to Colorado and like you're teching for Dave.
Yeah, so yeah, yep. I got to Colorado. The only formal training I ever had was in middle school because I ended up starting with trumpet, sucked at trumpet, did it for 2 years, sixth and seventh grade. And then I was like, maybe I should play drums and try it out for jazz band. That was like the most advanced band in middle school. And I like beat the other guys that had been playing drums for 3 years. I was like, oh, this is what it feels like not to be terrible at something. And like, why didn't I do that in the first place? Um, and then I took some lessons from like a great teacher in Richmond locally. And then, yeah, just kind of went about whatever. I was in like high school, like punk rock bands. I was super into hardcore punk rock
Dude.
in VA because that was like the vibe back then. It was like the mid
Well, the
90s.
punk scene's not too far away from.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, and it all the it was like a lot of straight edge hardcore that ended up like towards the end of high school. It was like, yeah.
I mean, I worked for Dillinger Escape Plan for like a hot minute, so
Cool.
I know
Okay,
you're.
cool. You know the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was straight edge until I was like 18, and then I started smoking weed and listening to like all sorts of other music, and I like went up a level at that point. In my drumming. I played jazz and hardcore and then was like obsessed with Dave Matthews as a child. So I learned all the Carter stuff. So I had
Yeah.
some kind of weird skill set. Um, yeah, for a long time. And then, yeah, moved to Colorado. I was a ski bum or snowboard bum in Breckenridge. And I went to a show. Do you remember that band Global Funk Council? Do you know these dudes?
The name sounds familiar, but
Yeah. Um, this dude Anthony was like the piano player, keyboard player. I think he used to play in, is it Carlos Washington? Like some kind of horn band,
okay.
kind of Carl D type, Gray Boy, all-star vibe. But and it had the drummer that was playing with Carl way back then, like back in 2002 or three, and I'm totally spacing on his name, and it fucking sucks. He's a great singer and an amazing drummer. Um,
So
but
after Alan
what?
Evans, after
No,
Alan Evans,
no. Oh,
because I
yeah,
think Alan
maybe
was with Gray Boy before he did Soul Life.
it was Carl. He was in Carl Denson because I'd seen him with Carl in Virginia, and then saw Global Funk Council and was like, that's the same guy. Like, and he sings his ass off. Who the fuck else did? This is gonna bug me. But I saw them in Virginia, and then when I was in Colorado, being a ski bum and selling weed and doing whatever, I was like, Global Funk Council's coming to, Keystone. They're playing the GOAT. And I took my roommate at the time, and we went there, and there was like nobody there, at the GOAT. There's like 10 people, everybody's wasted. It's just full on Colorado vibes in 2002. And I was like, this is not the same drummer. He doesn't sing, and he like doesn't know the music at all. I was telling my roommate, and he was like, what do you know about fucking like drums or anything? He didn't know that I played drums because we lived together, and we were just worked in the parking lots and didn't like music we would go see it, but it was never, he just heard me kind of talk about that I used to play drums kind of. And when I went to the bathroom, that motherfucker went up, talked to the keyboard player, and was like, my roommate says he's a drummer, and like I don't believe him, but like you should get him to play. And I come back from the bathroom, and this dude Anthony's like, yeah, I heard that we have another drummer in like the crowd, and let's bring up Jeremy, you know? And I was like, what? And I get up there, and they, he's like, what do you want to play? And I was like, I don't even know. And I had been, because I was obsessed with Carter Beauford, I was like an open, had my ride on the left, played open, you know, whatever, and never had a ride on the right. Could it, like, I could like kind of swing with my right hand, but my left hand was definitely dominant. So I'm playing crossed on the ride. So my left hand is on his ride. And we played Brand New Second Hand, um, which I had never even heard before. It was just, I was just doing my best like one drop kind of vibe. And they were like looking at me, and then they had me play another song. And then after, they were like, dude, you should like you actually sounded really good, and we're looking for a drummer. This guy is, we just found him in Denver, and he's just here to fill in because we're like in between. And they wanted me to come to their Vail gig and like try out for the band, which at the time was like the coolest moment in my life, you know?
Yeah, that's incredible.
Um, it was wild. And that whole week I'm sitting in like my parking booth, like with a pair of drumsticks, like trying to learn their shit and practice. I didn't have a drum set. I didn't have access to anything in Breckenridge. And then yeah, went to the Vail gig and like tried out, and you know, I didn't get the gig, unfortunately. I was like 22. They were like, "Yeah, we're looking for somebody that's like more seasoned, you know, but
Mhm.
they were like, you should move to Boulder and study with Dave Watts." And that was their like the one takeaway that I got from this whole thing. And I ended up kind of doing that, but I never studied with Dave. Um, but yeah, it was kind of this wild like inspirational point when I was like, maybe I should play music. Because I didn't know you could like be in a band and not. I thought if you were in a band, you were on MTV or whatever. There wasn't this connection to like this whole other touring thing. I like, it was almost like I didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
Um, and as I kind of got more into the like jam band world and into that world, I was like, oh, all these people are like doing this. This is how they make a living. This is like, it's their passion. And um, yeah, I kind of just rolled with it. Had a crazy summer. The of 2003 summer, I left Breckenridge to go to Virginia because the ski season was over, and I went on String Cheese tour, and I ended up with a friend driving to New Orleans to Jazz Fest, met Michael Travis and Jamie Janover, Aaron Holstein, and like Steve Deitch, like the Zilla guys,
Yeah.
and had this crazy summer following them around the country. And like I ended up moving to Boulder because of it. I ended up getting to play with Zilla, and I was just there as like a hippie kid following them around and setting their shit up. Um, because me and my friend just like loved the music, and they were just really open and cool, and they let me play it at a sound check after I set the drums up, and Michael Travis and I are both playing like against each, you know, like two kits, and they're like, "You should sit in tonight, man. You sound like your pocket sounded great or whatever." And I was like, "What? What is going on?" Like I was freaking the fuck out. Um,
That's awesome.
and yeah, so anyway, that's what led me to Boulder, and it was all tied into the motet in some weird way because of the connection of all those Boulder guys and the motet, and then this band telling me you should study with Dave Watts, and you know, that is what happened. And then I just stalked the motet guys forever. And yeah, I used to be their helper. I like set up, you know, Dave's kit, sold merch, didn't do a very good job selling merch. I would sell like $20 in merch a night. I was getting paid $40 a night and was like, fuck yeah, I'm getting paid. This is great. Um, and yeah, then Tom and I like became homies, and he ended up moving in with me and some other roommates. And then he bought a computer from Jan's the old singer for the Motet.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jans for literally starting Big Gigantic's career with the first piece of gear. Um, yeah, so the Motet kept having this weird circular like thing where different. I used to do graphic design and make posters for them, and that's kind of how I got to know them even better, and ended up working for them, and it was really weird what
Was this like
happened.
with the Fox? Because did you work at the Fox for a
I
minute?
did after that, yeah. I went to school for graphic design while I was like living with Dom. There's a moment, I was like 25 and I was like, dude, should I go to music school or should I go to art school? Like if I stay in Colorado, I'm gonna go to art school and get like a degree in art, to have like a backup plan.
Yeah.
Or I was like wanted to go to Berkeley in Boston and had applied and checked that out. And um, but I talked to everyone, especially all the Motec guys that all went to school because they're like the baddest cats in town at that point,
Yeah.
and still are. And yeah, people had different opinions. Some people were like, "Fuck yeah." Some people were like, Dave Watts was like, "Hell no, fuck school. That shit's bullshit. Don't do it. It'll ruin your life. Whatever." And it was like a struggle for me to figure out what to do. Luckily, I stayed in Colorado. If I had left, I don't know what would have happened. Obviously nobody does. It would have
It's
been the
crazy how
same
that
time.
it's crazy how that stuff works out, honestly.
Yeah, you kind of got to follow your instinct, which happened a bunch for me. Like the reason I moved to Boulder, the like all these different things kind of happened based on like a manifesting kind of following like listening to the universe and listening to what was people that I was meeting and having interactions with and like kind of following up on that or taking it one step further. It brought like a lot of great things. But what I realized now, like meeting all the turquoise cats and Dopapod, like that whole squad that I didn't meet until recently, everybody was at school at the time that I would have gone to Berkeley. So like if I had gone, it would have been just like rowdy hodgepodge of like great people that were there doing the thing.
I had a similar
Um,
thing. I was just when I did the
yeah.
episode with Mikey talking about the fact that like my plan was to go to Berkeley,
Oh,
but
cool.
I
I
had
didn't
to
realize
do a
that.
year of community college to prove to my
Hmm.
parents that I could take school seriously. And at
Yeah.
the time I joined this band and we were touring and we were playing within like the tri-state area and a lot in New York. And we were doing these contests and winning competitions and
Hmm.
working with Lettuce and Soul Live's producer and like
Wow.
even though we were not anything like Lettuce or Soul Live, but like
Yeah.
I was a big Soul Live fan at the time,
Sure.
and it was just I was like, okay, well, why am I doing this? And then I ended up in Dope Pod, and I was like, I don't know what would have happened if I went to Berkeley, but I kind of feel like I ended up in the same situation somehow,
Yep. Yeah.
where like a lot of those people, I probably would have went to Berkeley. I would have taken school really serious for like a year or so and
Hmm.
studied my ass off and gotten really good at drums. But ultimately, I would have been playing music and I would have dropped out and just done music. I saved, or at least my parents saved, a lot of money by me
Yeah,
deciding
right,
not to go
dude.
to
Yeah,
Berkeley.
that was definitely a good thing about not going to Boston.
Yeah.
Um, I see a buddy of mine that just popped in here, this
Yeah.
uh, Victor Barnes cat. So I was in a bluegrass band right as like before Big G started, as Dom was learning how to use a computer and like he never had a computer. As he was like learning Ableton and learning like all this shit, I was in a bluegrass band with Kenny and Victor Barnes, and we toured like all around the country and had some really epic like years or year. It was probably 2 years or so that we did. Um, and yeah, and that was like I had just gotten out of college, out of design school, and I was trying to do graphic design like on the road, and it was just not. Yeah, it was not easy to do both. And yeah, I that was a really great period of time, kind of as Big G was like becoming a thing or just even starting playing bluegrass, bro. That was my shit.
Dude, I know.
I miss it.
I used to see Grissman whenever he would come around to my neck
Yeah,
of the woods,
yeah.
and because I was just a young, I mean, I was a big Fish guy for a while. I mean, I didn't get to see them until they came back after
Oh
hiatus to
wow, yeah,
break. But
2003
yeah,
or
like
whatever.
in the 2003 time. Well,
Hmm.
in 2002 they came back, but like in
Yeah,
2003. Um, but like my dad listened to Fish in the 90s, so
really?
I first, yeah, like watching the 95 show last night, I was very much like, whenever I hear that kind of stuff, like my dad had Rift and Picture of Nectar and Hoist.
Hmm.
And I
Wow,
remember
that's
being
cool.
amazed at like the album artwork and like
Yeah.
hearing music and all that stuff. And then like when Farmhouse came out, I became like a real, like my own Fish fan. And then
Okay.
my brother took me to a Soul Live show in 2002, and it was like, it was
Yep.
it was over.
It was over from there. Yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing those guys back in Virginia. Everybody would roll through Virginia
Yeah.
in the early 2000s, and they would go to
RVA is an
Charlottesville and Richmond all day.
yeah, RVA is an awesome place
Hmm.
to play music and to see music. And I remember having incredible, incredible nights of playing at what are the venues? Is Canal Street? Is that
Canal
what
Club.
Canal Club?
Yeah, I think that was, yeah. There's a Alley Cats was also down in that kind of area.
The Hat Factory?
Hat Factory, yeah, damn. I actually never went there.
I
Never
played
went to Hat Factory.
I played there once uh, for a like post. It was like, maybe I'm confusing stories. There was like a night that I did a late night with Sonic Spank that both Bass Nectar and Pretty Lights were in town. This was like
Hmm.
both when like the whole triangle of that scene of electronic music,
Yep.
the jam band scene
Yeah.
circuit were starting to blow up, and I remember being like one of the greatest nights ever, and that venue was really cool.
In
But
Richmond.
yeah, but it shut down shortly after.
Shortly after. I wonder where Hat Factory was. I feel like I had already left and kind of missed, maybe even missed um that venue even being like from the time it opened to close. I might not have been there.
Yeah. And
Um,
I'd hear all like I played the National a handful of times as like
yeah.
opener, and then I heard one time Sonic Spank headlined, and Ben
National?
Blackman was our LT
Nice. Hell
show.
yeah.
Um, but like it was like a let's get people to go to this show as like a promotion. We're gonna give away free tickets to like these big shows that are coming up. And I remember it
Yep.
was like so empty.
Yeah.
But I remember
That's a
being like
big place.
excited to hear about this backstage. Like there's a hot
Yeah.
tub that you should never get in back there.
Never. Yeah. Yep. I've never been in that hot tub, but I know a lot of friends that have gotten in that hot tub. They have a sauna too, or a steam room or something.
Yeah, it's like
Are we about to
that.
get
And then
kicked off?
and then Norva similar. It's like the same owner, right?
Same owner, or yeah, same people run it, or they did.
He's
I
got
think
that
they still do. They have a
basketball.
basketball court. Yep.
Awesome. Oh man, I miss venues and tour.
Yeah. Man, hopefully, fuck. I don't know when it's gonna happen.
Well,
I want to go back on tour. We're talking about figuring out a way to do something. Like hopefully by the fall, you'll be able to do like 500 cap places
saying
tops.
get you find out whatever the cap is in these small places, and you can have bands where like people are just going to want to play, period, and people are going to want to go
Yes.
to shows. But even if it's like band that you would never see in a smaller club, and they have to do like jack up tickets a little bit. So
$100 tickets, buddy.
I know, right? Well, listen, I'm getting
Um,
the. I don't know if you're seeing this, but I'm getting the like 50-second reminder that
I
this.
don't I don't get it. I don't get to see that.
I get it. So we
That's
we are
good.
we're about to finish up here, but
Dude.
I want to thank you for doing this, and
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
of course, man.
You've been a very gracious host.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the kind words, and hopefully I'll get to see you soon. I'm sure when
Yeah,
things
let
go
me
back
know.
to normal, I'll be in Colorado every 3 months like normal. So
Yeah, let me know when you're coming back out. Can't wait
we'll,
to see you guys.
we'll do.
All right, brother.
Peace, man.
Take it easy. Peace.
This is going to end in like a second. So I will see you guys next week. Same time. I believe it's ending. Bye.